Aaron Glenn is something that we will talk specifically about the mistakes he made, but you hit on some of them. You've got to get your guys in positions to make plays, and I think he made some decisions yesterday that hurt the team. And, you give people time. It's more to me, I'm giving Dan Campbell time to evaluate Aaron Glenn than I'm giving Aaron Glenn time. It's up to if Dan Campbell looks at this and goes, you know what the truth is, there's no hope with this guy, then pull the trigger.
Well, how long did it take him to pull the trigger last year when it came to the offensive coordinator?
It took longer than 4 games, and he did pull the trigger. He's proven already he's not afraid to.
Yeah, but this is 20 games, 21 games.
That's true.
With Aaron Glenn.
No, that's a good point.
But and I'm not calling. I don't want this misconstrued. I'm not calling for Aaron Glenn to be fired at all. I think they need to make some adjustments here, and I recognize there's injuries on this team. Last year, towards the end of the season, they got contributions in the secondary in particular, from A.J. Parker, from Jerry Jacobs, C.J. Moore, guys we'd never heard of, and those guys were playing well, and they're not playing now because of injuries. Does that make that much of is that where the difference comes? Is that the guys that started to show up last year and played with heart and played better than average in a lot of instances, that because they're not able to see the field now, that there's such a downgrade? I mean, Awarie is a starter. Yep. He was a starter last year, had 6 picks. Okudah, I think we can agree is taking steps in the right direction, but the other corners that you're seeing out there on the field in nickel situations and dime situations, the safeties are out there, they're not getting the job done. No. And the loss of Tracy Walker is massive. It
could be one of the things that they are discussing this week is whether or not Awarie needs to be replaced. And it's not just that he is giving up quite a bit in the pass game. There are some plays where he isn't even close, and I don't know what happened there. Because we were moderately optimistic that he was coming into his own last year.
Yeah, I wonder things when you get the all 22 view when they're looking at tape. Is it something that just stands out? It's so obvious that they say, you know what? What are we doing here?
Yep.
The depth of our safeties or the depth of our linebackers when a ball is snapped in a passing situation. If the first step for the linebackers is to take a step back, that's wrong or whatever. If it's something that's that easily identifiable, you hope that's what it is, and you can correct it like that. I don't suspect that's the situation.
All right, we mentioned we get to Brad Holmes here. You've already talked about the second-round picks. Nothing out of Anzarike. Pascal so far has been a 0, and it's those guys. There's a degree of wanting to remain patient because they haven't been healthy. But these second-round swings and misses is a remarkable part of Lions history, woven throughout general managers' picks after general manager pick. They've swung and missed so much in the second round. It's remarkable. It's a remarkable, consistent shortcoming, no matter who's making the picks. And people talk about Brad Holmes' ability as the scouting director when he was with the Rams to do a good job of putting together a draft board that produced a Cooper Kupp and the tight end whose name escapes me, but using nothing but mid-round picks. I shouldn't say there's some second, third-round picks, but defensively, he put together draft boards that produced Jordan Fuller, a safety out of Ohio State in the 6th round. Greg Gaines, a defensive tackle that starts for the Rams, was a 4th-round pick. Sebastian Joseph Day was another 6th-round pick who starts at defensive tackle for a Super Bowl winning team. Now, the defensive tackle that makes things happen there is obviously Aaron Donald, but those guys start and make plays. And Brad Holmes, maybe he's got one of those in Rodrigo. Okay, it looks like he does. Rodrigo's making a lot of tackles. I'm sure there's things that he can improve on. They need to continue to find defensive starters and players in the draft. Kirby Joseph might be a little bit more of a project as opposed to making an impact right away. But Brad Holmes, we're way away from starting in on the offseason and mock drafting. But the reality is there are resources to put towards the defense that can help with the Jimmies and Joes. The X's and O's is Aaron Glenn, and they have to, and Dan Campbell, and they need to figure that out. Well, Holmes needs to really load up on guys that are going to help in the coming draft.
But this is the concerning part to me, is that great, he can identify those guys in the 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th round, right? Mm-hmm. He's got a track record of finding guys like that. And even with the Lions, you can say he's done that. Malcolm Rodriguez, a 6th round pick. You know, we know about Amon St. Brown. Derek Barnes was a 4th round pick. Jury's out on him. But I'm not worried about that. I'm worried about getting the top 3 rounds right. This is where the talent is concentrated. You can't miss in the 1st, 2nd round. You cannot miss. You can't afford to.
No.
And even in the 3rd round, you can make the case for that as well. And in his 2 drafts, the defensive players they've taken there, you know, Aiden Hutchinson, work in progress. We'll see. Josh Pascal, no idea. Hasn't seen the field. Kirby Joseph with his 3rd round pick. Okay. I wasn't thrilled with it. Whatever. Last year, or the year before, his 1st draft, Unzarike in the 2nd round, Lee McNeil in the 3rd round, and Melon Fonwu also in the 3rd round. What are we getting?
Yep.
Nothing.
Need to get more.